As someone who has dated on and off the apps for the last 4 years, who was chronically choosing the wrong men, narcissists, time wasters, and people who just were not a good match for me and were never going to meet my needs, I finally decided enough was enough. I was either going to give up on dating completely or I needed to do something completely different. So at the beginning of 2025, I chose not to give up on the life and the love that I wanted, and I chose to do something completely different. I decided to put myself first. I decided my life is better when I'm alone than when I'm in the wrong relationship. And I decided I wasn't going to get into another relationship until I knew it was the right person for me for the long term. And little did I know that decision was the catalyst to developing my 5-step dating strategy that led me to meeting my amazing partner in just 10 days on Hinge. And now teaching that strategy to hundreds of other women who are ready for dating to feel empowering instead of exhausting and meet a partner who makes them feel chosen and matches their energy. If that's what you're looking for, this channel is for you. And if you want to work together one-on-one, that link is in the description below. But in this video, we're going to talk about 10 questions you can ask yourself in the early stages of dating to know whether he's the right person for you in the long term or not. I would recommend referring back to these questions regularly in the first 6 months of dating and getting to know someone, and being really honest with yourself. Commit to your end goal of a happy, healthy, fulfilling relationship with the right person. And if any of these questions point to someone not being the right person, don't be afraid to make the decision that's best for you in the long term. So let's get into these. Number 1, do I feel safe to fully be myself around him? If you don't feel like you can fully be yourself around someone, like you have to mask or hide or you're walking on eggshells, that relationship will never work in the long term. You want someone who loves you fully and authentically for who you are. So this is an important one to check in on. Do you like who you are around him and you feel like a full, authentic version of yourself? Which brings me to question 2. Am I proud of how I show up when I'm with him? Relationships are a dynamic, and different people can bring out different versions of who we are. So you want to make sure that the person you are when you're with him, you are proud of and you like the version of yourself that they bring out. And question 3, is his energy calming and uplifting or destabilizing? I remember a few years ago, I dated someone who I noticed this emotional pattern with, and once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. Every time we spent time together, I felt dysregulated because he was dysregulated. And so I had to be that calming and stabilizing energy. And if I could keep myself regulated so he could regulate, we had a good time together. But if I couldn't keep myself regulated, it led to an argument or a disagreement where I would end up crying and then he would feel regulated enough to regulate me. It was a very unhealthy pattern that started maybe 2 months into us dating. And once I realized what was going on, I had to leave. One of the keys to success here is observing behavior consistently over time. That's why I recommend regularly checking in on these questions, because patterns can develop over time. Which brings me to question 4. Does he add joy, ease, and stability to my life, or confusion, chaos, and pressure? This is behavior that can only be observed over the long term, because in the beginning, someone could add joy, ease, and stability, and then switch to confusion, chaos, and pressure. So yes, this is relevant on a day-to-day basis, but even more so beyond that, if you zoom out beyond that, what is the overarching theme of what they are adding to your life? And is what they are adding positive, not negative? And number 5, does he encourage me to keep growing or subtly ask me to shrink? The right man in your life will be encouraging, uplifting, and supportive of your goals and helping you continue to grow to get to where you want to be. The last guy I dated before my current partner would constantly make these little seemingly innocent comments that slowly cut down, that over time, that slowly cut down on my confidence, that slowly cut down on my confidence and self-esteem. And when I called him out on it, he would play innocent, like, I'm just making an observation, or, well, you could be better at this. You could do that differently. That is a sign of someone who is insecure with themselves. And instead of encouraging you to grow so that both of you can grow together, they would rather you shrink to their level. So if someone's language, even if it seems innocent, feels discouraging. And number 6, do I feel more clear or more confused after talking to him? When you bring up a problem, something you're struggling with, something about your dynamic, does a conversation bring more clarity or more confusion? If you feel more confused after addressing a problem or a challenge that you're having with a partner, that is a sign that you are being emotionally manipulated. Conversations with a partner should bring clarity. Conversations with a good potential long-term partner should bring clarity. You should be able to solve problems together and move forward when either of you brings up something that you're feeling or experiencing. But if every time you bring something up, you feel confused and you're not resolving anything or moving forward together, that's a sign that you're not in the right relationship. Another sign is number 7. Is he consistent in what he says and what he does? It is not enough for someone to always say the right things, but their actions always fall short, or they're doing the right things, but what they're saying doesn't align with what they're doing. You want someone who is consistent in their words and their actions are aligned. And this is something that you can observe very early on. A really easy trap to fall into when we like someone is that we listen to whichever one is more aligned with what we want. It's easy to forgive someone when they're saying all the right things, even if they're not doing what we want. And it's easy to forgive someone who's doing all the right things, but their words aren't always aligned. An emotionally healthy person who is ready for a serious long-term commitment and relationship is going to do both. Their words and their actions are going to align, and you will be able to listen to both of those together and observe both of them together being consistent over time. Which brings me to number 8. Can I fully trust him emotionally and practically? If you can't trust the person you're with to take care of themselves, get what they need to do done, and consistently show up for you in your relationship, they are not your person. I know you don't want to date someone who you have to mother. I know you don't want to date someone who you have to mother, and you want someone who you can rely on, not just practically, but also emotionally. You want someone who you can lean on when you need to. So this is an important question to ask yourself. And number 9, would I want my future kids or best friend to date someone like him? This one is really hard. Adding a third party makes this one really hard to lie to yourself about. If you have a tendency to tell yourself what you want to hear, adding a third party like this makes it harder for you to lie to yourself about it. If you are truly in a great relationship, when you ask yourself this question, I bet you will get an immediate yes or an immediate no. And that is everything you need to know to make a decision. Even on hard days or when we've had to work through something challenging, my answer to this question has never been no. And this last question is arguably the most important, because so many of us fall for potential even when we don't realize it. So question number 10 is, if nothing changed about him, could I still feel happy in the long term? Especially in the first 6 months of a relationship, you are committing to exactly the person standing in front of you. Yes, that person is going to change over time, but you don't get to control the ways in which they change. So if your happiness with this person is conditional on them changing something about them, you are not in the right relationship. Before you make long-term commitments with someone, you should be happy and fully accepting of the person that you are with. A commitment isn't going to make you happier, isn't going to make you feel more comfortable, and isn't going to make you feel more fulfilled in the relationship. If you found these questions helpful and you want more dating advice from me, make sure you subscribe and check out this next video.